Brothers and sisters, we are gathered again. We have been in this spot and we've been over across the street many, many times. And I want to start with a deep appreciation to everyone who's come back time and time again to fight for health care for our community. I want to just tell you, you've done the right thing over and over. This group, a lot of familiar faces. This is a group of people who never, ever have given up. And it's because you were unwilling to give up that the hospital is still open. That's your credit. And we always say in these gatherings that this has been, an extraordinary community effort, a coalitional effort between neighborhood residents, between the wonderful people who work at LICH, and it's been also an effort in solidarity and coordination with people who are fighting to save other hospitals like Interfaith. That we consider all of our efforts to be one continuum to protect health care for people in neighborhoods all over Brooklyn, all over the city. So I want to thank you for the extraordinary consistency and strength you have shown. I'm sorry to say, though, today that we're together because we're facing another threat. Nothing new to us. Nothing we won't win over and stare down again. But another threat we have to take seriously. Now, I'd like to remind people, a year ago at this time, this city was in crisis and people turned to their community hospitals like never before. Sandy was the greatest natural disaster to hit this city. We lost 44 New Yorkers, huge number of people injured, a huge number of people lost their homes, and one of the things that they could depend on was their community hospital. And that was true, for example, in Red Hook, Brooklyn. You know, Red Hook got hit so hard by Sandy. I spent time in Red Hook a number of times after the storm. And literally a neighborhood devastated, a neighborhood without heat and hot water, without electricity. People suffered for a long time in Red Hook. I went through Red Hook East houses a couple of weeks after the storm. And the entire building still plunged in darkness, people still struggling. But folks in Red Hook knew that they could turn to Long Island College Hospital. They knew they could depend on LICH. And LICH was there for them, wasn't it? And let's take this occasion to thank all of the men and women who work at LICH who serve the people of Red Hook in their hour of need. Let's give them a round of applause. And as we talked about Long Island College Hospital, throughout this whole fight we've said, remember what happened during Sandy, but remember also what happens every single day. Neighborhoods like Red Hook, this is the go-to place for health care. This is the go-to emergency room. Approximately 75,000 people depend on LICH as the first option to turn to an emergency. In case of Interfaith, it's almost 175,000 people. You put the two of them together, it's 250,000 people. Those are the hospitals that are their first place to turn when there's a problem. So that's why we gather again today in defense of Long Island College Hospital, because we understand how much it means to people. We understand that's literally a lifeline. Now, we last month stood here celebrating Judge Baines' decision, a landmark decision, nullifying SUNY's actions in terms of the closure of LICH and preserving health care for all. It was another day of legal victory, along with a lot of other legal victories we've won. And we have been so proud and so appreciative of how the court system has responded to the needs of the people of this community time and time again, and has really been vigorous about saying there's not two standards of justice. Once the courts have acted, SUNY was supposed to follow the orders to the letter of the law. And that has not happened once. And so today, after 4 months of SUNY time and time again ignoring the judge's orders, we find ourselves with a new level of grievance, because now they've taken their willingness to flout the judge's orders to a new high. In just the last few days, 500 nurses and healthcare workers were sent their layoff notices in clear violation of Judge Baines' order. 500 people that this community depends on. And I want you to say it is more than ironic. I want you to recognize more than ironic that these firings would happen on the first anniversary of Sandy, the time when the community needed LICH the most. Effectively, what SUNY is trying to do is close LICH at all costs and somehow put a legal fig leaf on it. So it's just once again SUNY proposing and pursuing a closure plan, just not admitting it out loud. But if you take away the personnel, the hospital effectively dies. So many elements of the hospital, the ICU and the cardiac cath lab and maternal and child services, and so many elements of this hospital will not be able to function if these layoffs go through. So again, it'll just be closure by any other name. And most importantly, the emergency room will be undermined. And we know that in the weeks when LICH was not accepting the ambulance runs, we know the horrible impact it had on people's safety, and it had on surrounding hospitals as well, adding to the backlogs for them. So we know that this is unacceptable, that people won't be safe if this plan by SUNY goes through. We have been fighting all along to protect people's health care and to open the door to getting a new provider in. Facility. And that won't work if at every turn SUNY keeps trying to shut this hospital down prematurely. So guess what? We're going back to court. And we are simply not going to take it. And I got to tell you, there's no greater heroes in this fight than our lawyers, led by Stephen Newmark, the Public Advocate's Office. Thank you again, Stephen, and everyone at Gibson Dunn has been extraordinary in their efforts on behalf of this community. We are going back with the A-team back to court. We're going to Judge Baines again, and we're asking for a specific order from Judge Baines to stop these layoffs dead in their tracks. And SUNY has attempted to defy the judge's will one time too often. So we're saying to the judge today, we're asking him to please lay down the law once again and stop these layoffs from happening. This community has won time and time again, and we are not stopping until we win the ultimate victory of handing off this hospital to a new provider that has the community's interests in mind and will maintain health care here for the long run. I'm going to court today to build that bridge to that long-term solution for all of us. And we will not give up, will we? No! So the people have spoken. Yeah. And now I'd like to hear from some of the other heroes of this fight. I think we're starting with you, Jill. Jill Ferrillo of the New York State Nurses Association, who has been an extraordinary leader of this fight. And one of the reasons why we've done as much as we've done. Thank you, Jill.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to obviously thank our public advocate, Bill de Blasio, for once again being here with us as we build our movement to keep our hospital open for care and to keep all the hospitals open for care in our communities that are medically underserved. As Bill said, it was 1 year ago that Sandy slammed into New York, and the people who work here at Long Island College Hospital dedicated themselves to the people of the community to serve them at their time of need. But that's not unusual, because that's what the people have been doing all along, year after year, caring for the people of the community and caring for medically underserved communities. The closure plan that was submitted by SUNY several months ago to the Department of Health was rejected by a judge about a month and a half ago, because the judge said that that closure plan was unconstitutionally vague. We remember that decision, don't we? Yes. That decision was as a result of the movement that we built, that we were able to come together as a community, unions, labor, the rest of labor, our community organizations to say that there's something wrong when you close hospitals that people need. So that the closure plan that they submitted was found to be unconstitutionally vague, and yet we received layoff notices last week that look a whole lot like that closure plan. You know, if you look at that closure plan, it almost mimics the first phase of the closure plan mimics the first phase of the layoffs, which SUNY submitted last week. So if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, and I don't know what else kind of thing it does about a duck, it's a duck. You know? And so these layoffs that SUNY has submitted is in fact the closure plan. It's the first phase of their closure plan, which has been rejected by the judge because the judge says that we need to take the needs of the community into account before we close any kind of healthcare services. And you know what? We agree with that, Judge. We are ready to act with the community to figure out what the community needs are in every community and figure out what kind of healthcare system we must have in Brooklyn. It's unfortunate that SUNY does not seem willing to comply with the judge's order. I do know that they are being served with papers today. As a matter of fact, individual board members of the SUNY board are going to be served with papers as well. And that is what we have to do, because we will do what we have to do to care for the needs of our patients. So we continue this fight. We thank everybody for staying with us in this fight. We especially thank Public Advocate and, of course, what we believe will be the next mayor of New York. That's right. All of our elected officials and everyone for the support that we've had. And I'd like to now either give it back to Bill or bring up...
I'm going to call up Estella.
Okay,
you're doing great.
Yes, okay.
We're making up our program as we go along.
Yes.
Improvisation, my friend.
That's it.
One of the great advocates for healthcare in New York City, really one of the strongest and I might say fiercest voices, and that's a compliment.
Thank you.
Well deserved. Estella Vasquez, Executive Vice President of 1199.
Thank you, sisters and brothers. SUNY downstate is acting like a bad landlord. They want to sell empty buildings so they can turn it into condominiums. But we are here to deliver a message. No way, Jose. No way. We will continue to fight in every avenue. We will continue to mobilize with the nurses, with NYSNA, 1199, empty community to say, LICH saves lives, LICH stays open. LICH saves lives, LICH stays open. LICH saves lives, LICH stays open. LICH saves lives, LICH stays open.
No, wait, come on, guys. I know we haven't chanted in a while.
So let's do it louder. We can do better than that.
Stays live.
LICH stays
open.
LICH saves lives! LICH stays open! LICH saves lives! LICH stays open! LICH saves lives! LICH stays open!
There.
LICH saves lives! LICH stays open! LICH saves lives! Continue and we have news for SUNY downstate. We are continuing the fight. The ink is not even dry in the judge's order, and now they come up with another approach. And Jill, you are correct. Now they're issuing layoffs to 500 1199ers, NYSNA members, and other workers. And we are saying we're standing together with our public advocate, soon to be mayor. We will continue to fight for quality health care for the people of Brooklyn. Thank you for being here today. Is NYSNA in the house? Yeah. Is 1199 in the house?
Yeah. Okay, Jill. Jill's going to call up one more.
Okay, I'd like to bring up now, when we started this fight, A year ago, when we started this fight, we started with the workers inside the hospital, the nurses, 1199, the physicians. We've stayed together as a coalition for 1 year, and I'd like to bring up one of those leaders who was there from the very beginning, a member of New York State Nurses Association, Loretto Guzman.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Loretto Guzman here. I work in this hospital for, I don't know, 1975. You go figure. So I've been a long-time supporter of this hospital, and today we're here to gather, and here lies again 1 year from Sandy, yet the survival of LICH is in question. This hospital remained open during that terrible storm and needs to stay open because we helped from Red Hawk to Dumbo. Nearby in Red Hawk, where more than half of this community relies on LICH for primary care, thousands have signed petition to keep LICH open. So listen to them. That speaks to the community needs. When the community itself petitions attesting to what patients themselves acknowledge, LICH is vital. We know the court is listening. We know Bill de Blasio is listening.
I heard
Mayor
you.
Bill. And we know we will prevail. So keep LICH open.
Keep LICH open. Keep LICH open. Keep LICH open. Keep LICH open. Keep LICH open. Keep LICH open.
Thank you.
LICH open.
You guys got it back. That's good.
Keep LICH open. Keep LICH open. Keep LICH open. Keep LICH open.
Look, let me bring forward another leader who stood by us throughout this fight. Powerful, eloquent voice for this community, Senator Dan Squadron.
Thank you very much, and it's great to be here again with old friends. And you know, some people say that a lot has changed here in the city in the last few months, but I don't see it, because we've all been standing here for a long time. We've been standing here in the cold fighting for LICH, then the warmth, then the heat, and now the cold again.
Yeah.
But the truth is, the reason more hasn't changed, the reason LICH is still here and open for care, is because of the extraordinary work that has been done by so many people who are here today. Of course, our public advocate and the next mayor of the city of New York, Bill de Blasio, who held firmly right on this and has taken such leadership. New York State Nurses Association, 1199, the Cobble Hill Association, the Borum Hill Association, community groups across this neighborhood and across the borough. Parents, young parents like me, who have rallied in this playground and that playground with our kids, with my 2.5-year-old son, again and again, because this touches everyone. And here's what's interesting. The better it gets for us, the more SUNY does to close the hospital.
That's right.
You know why that is? Because if and when we keep LICH open for care, as the court has said, as the next mayor of the city of New York has said, as all of these great community leaders have said, until there's a new operator, then LICH isn't going anywhere. Then LICH is here for good. And so the closer we get to the long-term solution, the harder they're going to work to stop us short in our tracks. But are we going to let that happen? No! Are we going to keep LICH open for care? Yes! All right, because we've gotten this far, and it's going to get cold again, it's going to get warm again. But before it's cold again, something's going to not change, which is LICH will stay open. LICH will stay open. LICH will stay open. LICH will stay open.
And let me introduce to you Sean Richardson, a CT scanner from LICH and one of the union leaders of 1199 that has been fighting all along to keep this hospital open. Sean?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Nice to see you all here under this not so nice situation. I've been a tech here for 17 going on 18 years now, and we've seen all the wonderful changes for the best at LICH. Now with SUNY's trying to close LICH down, it's really unacceptable. We like to thank all our leaders for stepping up and standing at our side, and we're asking that everybody hang tight and stay in the fight. Keep Litch open. Thank you.
Keep Litch open! Keep Litch open! Keep Litch open!
Finally, I want to just thank some of the wonderful organizations that have sustained us during this fight and who are leading the legal effort. Concerned Physicians at LICH, Brooklyn Heights Association, Cobble Hill Association, Borum Hill Association, Wyckoff Garden Association, Riverside Tenant Association, Carroll Gardens Neighborhood Association. Give them all a round of applause. And with that, we welcome questions. Let's first take questions related to LICH and hospitals, and then we'll go from there.
Bill, on the judge's last decision, if I remember correctly, he questioned your office's legal standing to participate in the case. I'm wondering if that's changed and whether your office is participating in this new round of lawsuits.
Yeah, we're supporting the community organizations that are part of, and the labor organizations, depending on the different pieces of the legal case. We're supporting all of the organizations that are representing the community and representing the people who work here. And clearly, I think the judge and everyone else knows that my office has been deeply involved, and so we're going to continue to support the efforts in any way appropriate. We think that this has been an extraordinary example of a community standing up and acknowledging and fighting because the process wasn't followed the way it was supposed to. This community never got a voice in terms of what was going to happen and what it would mean for them. And so we're going to be supporting their legal efforts going forward.
The 500 layoffs, what percentage of the employee base is that?
That's a great question. About a third of the nurses and a quarter of the 1199 members. On this topic, anything else? Going once, going twice.
How confident are you about the TRO?
Look, I think the history of the court actions has been incredibly consistent. Judge Baines and with other members of the judiciary as well. We clearly have seen the judiciary has consistently said that what SUNY has done is wrong. So we feel that our chances are good to get, additional backup here. I mean, it's just a blatant violation of the previous order. So we're hopeful. Courtney.
Any reaction to the poll this morning? Do you think that this is ending? What does it say about what voters want?
It's a gratifying poll. We still have over a week to go. Said throughout this campaign, I am one of the world's leading experts on not taking polls for more than they're worth. And so we're going to work just as hard. This last week we are amassing an extraordinary operation all over the city, volunteers in every neighborhood. We're going to have a huge operation on Election Day. So we're going to take it seriously right down to the final moment. I do think the poll indicates that people want progressive change. And they want the tale of two cities addressed.
Yes.
That they don't think the status quo is acceptable. I think that's coming through loud and clear in the poll. Please.
This morning at a fundraiser, we talked to David Dickens after, and he said, we talked to him a little bit about the debate last week between you and Joe Lhota, and he said that Lhota does not have any right to talk about his administration because the Giuliani administration, members of it, went to jail. Do you have any response to that?
I obviously haven't seen the specific quotes. I think the bottom line is, I appreciate the mayor's support, and we've obviously had a great working relationship over the years, and I think there needs to be respect for what he achieved as we proceed to think about our future.
Across town right now, Joe Lhota is holding a press conference talking about how you've been silent on affordable housing at the Atlantic Yard site. Do you have anything to say about
I haven't been silent, first of all. I mean, let me say that I, from the beginning of the process around Atlantic Yards, have fought for maximum community benefits and for the affordable housing to be built, and I will, the people choose me, be in a position to finally do what we've needed for a long time, to have mayoral leadership really holding the feet of the state and of the developer to the fire to make sure that this affordable housing gets built. The site is absolutely one of the best in this city to create a large amount of affordable housing on it. It needs to happen, and on my watch it will happen. On the question of Mr. Lhota's comments, just a year ago, Mr. Lhota was lavishly praising the Atlantic Yards development. and talking about how great it was. And now that it's politically expedient, he seems to be changing his tune. So I don't look to him for analysis on this topic. It's clear to me that we need to get that affordable housing built, and we will get it built.
Do you think it's behind schedule, or?
It's clearly behind schedule. No, it's clearly behind schedule, and there are some objective reasons why, and I also think there were missteps by everyone involved. I think from the beginning, the city and state should have played a more active role in making sure that things happen on a schedule, but no time like the present.
Bill, along the same lines, you also said that it would be your responsibility as public advocate to make sure the CBA was followed through on, and one of those issues was a compliance monitor, which I don't believe has been appointed yet. Just wondering what you've done to make sure that happens.
I'd have to check the facts on the compliance monitor. On the broad point about local hiring, for example, I think there's been some real progress. That's been one of the bright points in this history, which was part of the CBA. I think it's been a mixed bag, and again, we've pushed consistently for these benefits to accrue to the community, but now we'll be in a position, if the people choose me on November 5th, to get that done more aggressively.
You've spoken eloquently of your concerns.
Why, thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. Of your concerns about the influence of unfettered outside political spending in our electoral process. In this election, the single largest expenditure by an outside group has been from an organization supporting your candidacy. Are you concerned about being the beneficiary of that amount and that type of outside political spending?
Well, look, there's a couple of different things here. Throughout this process, from the beginning of this era we're in now, which was the Supreme Court decision in Citizens United, I've said very clearly, the Supreme Court's decision is dangerous to the future of our democracy. I would like to see it rolled back, and there's a number of different efforts underway to achieve that. In the meantime, I've said we should use the power of government, particularly local and state government, to prevail upon those who really could flood the system with massive amounts of money. Nothing like what we've seen here, but truly massive amounts of money, meaning very, very wealthy individuals and large corporations, to keep some real limits on what they're doing and to make sure throughout this that there's full disclosure, which was hinted at in the Supreme Court decision but never mandated. So at least in New York City, we have a law that requires disclosure, and we've seen, thank God, minimal activity in terms of independent expenditure. I want to get right back to the work of trying to limit and ultimately end this history. But I think here, at least what we can say is here, what we've seen has been limited and it has been disclosed.
Two more questions?
Bill, are you in any sense amazed to find yourself in the pole position you are a week before the election? I mean, I know you're gratified, and is there not any danger that some of your supporters may say, well, with a lead like that, I don't have to bother to go vote?
I feel blessed every day. I really do. The reason I feel blessed is the people who got me here. I'm very humble about the fact that it was an extraordinary coalition of people that made this possible. Some of whom, organizations that took a big chance on me, like New York State Nurses and our dear friends at 1199 early on. And, so I understand that this was only possible because of, an extraordinary coalition. On the question of complacency, of course, we have to be worried with any election. People sometimes talk themselves out of voting. And that shouldn't happen here. If people believe we need these progressive changes, that they want to take a different direction than what the Bloomberg administration was taking, they have to do something about it. So yes, we're concerned that people remember the job's not done until it's done. And anyone who wants to see the changes better come out and vote. Last question? If any. Going once.
Bill, what's the first thing you're going to do if you're elected mayor?
I've been asked so many variations of this question. I never talk about it in terms of here is the very first item. I talk about some of the things will be at the very top of the agenda. They obviously include starting the process for the early childhood and after school plan, moving on the expansion of the paid sick leave bill, and making the changes in terms of policing that will help keep us safe, but also make sure the relationship between police and community is strong in every neighborhood. So those are very much at the top of the agenda. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.